So here in the future, what you should be receiving from Fort Sill are redlegs that are more disciplined, fit, informed, and resilient, and they're better inculcated into our profession. And while the Army Combat Fitness Test is not yet for record, I will tell you we've been preparing them to excel, and we've maintained the branch's high physical demands test as a graduation requirement. Lastly, in September of 2020, we started 2 volunteer programs to meet the requirements of our Ranger Regiment and airborne units. For our 13 Foxes, our 75th Ranger Regiment L&O, with full support of Fort Sill, began recruiting volunteers to potentially serve in the world's premier direct action unit. To date, our Ranger Assessment and Selection Preparation Program, or RASP, has trained, prepared, and sent over 100 fire supporters directly to Fort Benning and provided them every opportunity to earn their tan berets at the regiment's RASP course. Concurrently to that September 2020 volunteer program, we began addressing critical shortfalls in our airborne formations. And if you've been following how many times our rapid deployment forces have been flying to the sound of the guns around the world, you understand why this was of such concern for the branch. So working with the Fire Center Movement Team, HRC and TRADOC ATARS managers, the Airborne Committee, leaders and cadre across both the 434th and 428th Training Brigades here on Fort Sill began engaging and soliciting volunteers in both basic combat and advanced individual training. In short order, we in place a systematic cadre and leader engagement strategy that facilitated rapid screening, processing, and slotting for our redlegs to ship directly from AIT graduation to Fort Benning. For context, to meet requirements, the branch must enlist between 600 to 700 airborne soldiers per year. In fiscal year 20, we shipped 720. In fiscal year 21, we had only 356 contracted volunteers to ship. Fortunately, our volunteer program produced an additional 340. And since I have not received a second phone call from the 18th Airborne Corps Command Sergeant Major, we're going to go ahead and call that one a win. And so while it took an entire team to synchronize and knock down those traditional barriers, engage leaders who built trust with their trainees and influenced their decisions, some organizational resources and energy, what this tells me is that our newest redlegs are joining our teams and seeking for ways to excel, to be part of something bigger than themselves. So many were willing to be 2 times volunteers, in fact, that for a hot minute we were concerned about our holdover population. Every Center of Excellence now has an airborne L&O, and we assess that this will be an enduring program. About 2 years ago, under the direction of Major General Smith and Command Sergeant Major King, we refocused our advanced and senior leaders course programs of instruction to focus on technical, hands-on, performance-based teaching and testing to ensure our NCOs were solely focused on the critical tasks associated with the key developmental billet in which they were to serve. Implemented just over a year ago, we added a combined live fire during a culminating 72-hour FTX as a final check on learning as they put into collective practice the individual tasks trained on throughout the course. Despite what you may hear in reference to potential reduction of in-person, not overall length, time our NCOs are going to be spending in ALC and SLC, several things critical to maintaining the momentum we have attained with returning subject matter fires expertise back to our operational units will not change. We will continue to prioritize doing those things that only the field artillery can. We will implement measures to ensure we remain one Army school system compliant. We will maintain the same POI at our regional training institutes that we teach at Fort Sill. We will continue to select the best NCOs to serve as instructors. And most importantly, we will remain agile and adaptive to meet operational force requirements while continuing to develop the best artillery men and women in the world. My last update is on our Field Artillery Master Gunners course. And I only have 2 slides, and they're there just for your reading or your viewing pleasure. So we're competing this year to grow this pinnacle functional course from 2 weeks to 5 for fiscal year 2024 implementation and increase our course size by almost 1/3 per fiscal year. The demand is clearly there. In the last 5 years, the course has trained 214% of its course load and adapted their instruction over time. Now, what I will tell you is that during the last 15 years since it began, the 2-week Master Gunners course was enough to provide battalion-level commanders experts to assist in training management and preparation of their units through section-level certifications, some troubleshooting, and networking to assist and resolve issues and concerns. What I can also tell you is it will not be what operational tactical level brigade and battalion commanders will need in the next 15 years. Current capacity will not meet operational requirements as we add field artillery formations in both Compo 1 and Compo 2. So in preparation to implement this course redesign, we've spent the last year physically moving the course to a suitable facility where SIPR is certified and available. We added the square footage in classrooms to accommodate increased attendance at all MOSs, to include adding a 13 Romeo target acquisition master gunner at the 06 level headquarters. All of them are classroom 2021 equipped with connectivity that eliminates our need to share capabilities with the rest of Fort Sill. I think for the first time ever, Vic and his team are fully self-sufficient at this point. This course is the only one in the entire branch that will directly link every one of our sensors to every one of our shooters in virtual, synthetic, and physically hands-on environments across all duty positions at the brigade and below level. You go to the next slide, sir. While continuing to serve as the connective network and fires planning tissue with higher and adjacent units. If our course growth is approved later this year, we are prepared to brief and seek approval